Hello everyone, Ragewood here, back with another Etheria restart video. Now at the time of the recording there is about 16, 17 hours left before the beta goes live. And I just wanted to give you some of my thoughts on who I think the best sort of target summons or direct summons choices are. Now these aren't necessarily going to be in any particular order, but I am going to share my thoughts on why I think they're good and why perhaps some others that I'm leaving off are not. So without further ado, let's get into it. So in the game that I have access to, I have actually completed the direct summons, so it's not there. I will put a quick image somewhere up there just showing you the options quickly in picture form. I'm not going to talk about all of them, just going to point out a couple. Now we are on the Helkid site. They are the sponsored website for producing Etheria restart content. And they've been working a lot with Zox, who is one of the content creators who's been covering this extensively through all of the betas. They do have the tier lists, which they've been working with him on, I believe, as well. So everything is here. So to start off with, Linglo, but also Mia. Now, both of these are very, very good heroes, but Linglo you get on your 7th day, providing you meet all of the login requirements, and Mia very similar to her. So with that in mind, we're not going to be picking either of those two, even though they are good supports, because we're going to get Linglo for free. The next ones that I don't know if I'm being silly or not by not putting them on here, truth be told, but is Tsukio Mi and Beyond Tin. Now they both do similar roles, but they also differentiate a little bit as well. Now, the main reason, there's a couple of reasons that I think you would pick why Tsukiomi is good. Firstly, she scales from defense, so building her to survive is also increasing her damage, which, you know, if you've played Raid, we know is ace. She's also got a silence, which is very helpful, and her skill 1 boosts the ally with the highest attacks turn meter. Now, if you put that with Battle Wheel or Bramble, for example, you're going to be scaling that a bit more often as well, which I think is very good. But I think the main reason you pick her is for this Golden Hour skill. Increases an ally's turn meter by 100%. So, you know, Nuka goes, Tsukiomi follows up with increased attack, Nuka gets to go again. That is just very good. Not just for PvE, I imagine it'll be very good for PvP if you build it properly as well. Also, the increased attack, the 40% attack and the 30% speed is very nice too. Now, Beyond Tin fills a similar role, but I believe she brings crit damage and attack, so it varies on which of those two buffs you want. She also has the Underworld Flower, which is a team revive. So now there could be a world where you bring in all of them. Oh, I say all of them, the pair of them, and Nuka goes 3 times. That would be potentially kind of cool to try out. But in the last little test that I did in the week leading up to tomorrow, I actually started with Tsukiomi, and I was falling behind some of the other people taking part who picked damage dealers over supports. So I think for that reason would be the reason why I think she's gonna like excel late game, but perhaps in that first sort of opening 2 or 3 days, it might be better off to pick some of the other damage units available. Quick jump in on Beyond Tin just so you can see. So she also boosts turn meter, but it's to the ally with the lowest turn meter, not the one with the highest attack, but will perform a very similar role. And it's her Soul Whirl here, which makes them start their turn immediately as opposed to giving them 100% turn meter. But as you can see, very, very similar roles that they both fill. So in no particular order, let's just start with the obvious one, all right, which is Tiamat. She is very good, especially when she turns into that ultimate form, doing Purge Day, deals a lot of damage based on her max HP now as well. She has a 2-turn heal over time and shield, and she brings a taunt. So she's got an awful lot in her kit. She does an awful lot now. A lot of my thought process in some of these choices are early on, you're going to be facing Terramaton and Doki Doki. Those are going to be the two very important dungeons. Now, Terramaton is hollow, so you want either hollow picks or reason choices. But we already have Leanne, who's going to be our damage for that. So I am skewing a lot of my choices perhaps away from reason for that reason. For someone who might be better suited for Doki Doki as well, except for one of them, which you can probably all think who that might be now. But yes, Tiamat is number one. I imagine, or the first one here, a lot of people are probably going to end up going for her because she is that good. So yeah, Tiamat is the first potential one of 5. The next character I want to bring up is Rilmocha. Now, she is a recent addition, but I was really impressed with how one of my friends progressed through the early stage with Rilmocha. Now, she is hollow, so she is neutral to Terramaton, but strong against Doki Doki. And what makes her, I think, particularly good, she's got 2 AoEs. On her skill 2, she does more damage the more HP that they've lost, and she recovers 70% of her own lost HP. So she has a bit of sustain, which makes it easier for your Dorothy or whoever your support unit is. And her skill 3 is unique, it is a first in that it has splash damage. Now, it also offers a stun, which also helps towards Doki Doki applying some control to one unit to sort of strip back that damage reduction, and if she kills the unit, she will splash the damage everywhere. So it's good in all PvE fights. Makes her weak to someone like Whitney. Whitney is reason, and that's where this would perhaps shine, but obviously the developers have probably thought about that when they were making her. But that aside, she shines in a lot of PvE content, investigation, GP outpost, you name it, she is very good, and I think a very solid choice as a target or direct summon for most players. So next up we have Lilith. Now, Lilith, I believe from what I've seen everywhere, was an absolute powerhouse in the last beta. But it looks like people's opinions have changed a little bit. You know, she's still very good, but perhaps, you know, especially in Wazox's video that I watched, mentioned that she isn't the obvious number 1 choice anymore. But she is a damage dealer that scales off HP, so similar to Tiamat, in that building her to do damage, you're also building her to survive a little bit better. So that's what I like about her. She also brings some control with some stuns in her Graceful Mischief balloons, which is nice. She also brings decreased speed, which again is nice and will help you rotate faster than the bosses and kill things. And again, being hollow will help you with Doki Doki and neutral to Terramaton. So she would be perhaps the third choice. Also good in PvP, I believe, as well. And yeah, just got a very nice kit, but I think for me, main thing is the fact that she scales with her own HP. Now, later on in some PvE fights, she will sort of tail off a bit, but still a very good choice, and is the third person that I would say is a good target for your direct targeted summons. The fourth person that I'm going to sort of mention here or highlight is Rosa. She is another new unit added to the game. She is odd, so she is weaker to Terramaton, but again, we'll have Leanne for that. And just because she's weaker to Terramaton, very early on, you can still use her there. People will still be using Tiamat there. But as you reach to Hell and Inferno, you want to avoid that. But she is a boss killer. The downside is she is very hard to build. Now, in late game, she is incredible. You pair her with someone like Biontin or Tsukiyomi, and she is going to shred everyone with revelation and things like that. But she is very dependent on crit. Now, she does have her own crit rate buff that she puts on all allies and decreased speed, but it will also pair very nicely with Grey. Now, Grey needs crit to place his decreased defense. Rosa needs crit too. If you can time it right until you get all of the lattices to skill them out entirely, hopefully between the two of them you'll be able to keep some pretty good uptime. That's what I like about her, is that they synergize quite nicely together. Now, some people, I'm probably going to get a bit of hate going, why are you going to get so much overlap? That's just my thinking, in that, a lot of the Hyperlink Charter missions will focus on Leanne, and you do want to complete those because of the rewards that you're going to get. So, yeah, I think having a bit of overlap or covering each other when it drops off will help them both perform long term. Now, outside of the decreased speed, she doesn't really have any control. She has a bit of turn me to push back. So when it comes to Doki Doki, you are going to need someone like Obel or Kraken to bring down that sort of damage reduction that they have. But outside of that, I say, especially in the later game as well, if you should get there pretty soon. In the first week of my playing, I managed to unlock Ringo Kutsu and Shadowflame Hoyen. So you should get there. By that point, you'll have some decent gear to help her shine. But she is an incredible damage dealer. She really is the #1 boss killer, I think, and is the #4 person I wanted to highlight for your targeted or direct summons. So lastly then, we have Helkid. Now, I mentioned earlier, I'm focusing a lot on sort of Doki Doki and Terramaton. Now, he is weak to Doki Doki, being Reason, but he is still a very good character. Now, he did get nerfed so that his shield doesn't scale off his skill 1, so you can't proc it with Bramble or Battle Will. But the sound barrier is still very good. It provides a lot of survivability, provides immunity, and if he has it out, I think he has a 100% chance to land the stun. Yeah, so it will provide some utility, but you might get weak hits in Doki Doki with that stun. But certainly, at least with Terramaton, it's going to make your life so much easier, give you a bit of survivability, stop that right hand placing the decreased defense and smacking your dudes. But outside of those two, I believe he could be a bit of a menace in the arena. And you've also got your Grim Pursuit bosses where he's going to shine in as well. Now, I was thinking of putting Borgne here as well. Borgne is another new hero that's very good, very strong early on. He can't crit, which isn't the end of the world, but he scales his HP to bring a bit of survivability. He has built-in lifesteal as well. But his third skill requires 4 enemies, so outside of Doki Doki there are only a limited number of other areas where there are 4 enemies. Terramaton, there is 3, sort of Jacques, Shadowrunner, there's 3, Karuru, there's 3, Phoebe and Fabian, there's only 3, so you're going to get less value there. And that was why I didn't put him in here. Ultimately, there are tons of good support, as I mentioned earlier. Beyond Tin is very good, Sakayumi is very good, Veronica is amazing, but I think picking a support outside of Helkid scales with attack, so you want to build him to do a chunk of damage. But the supports, I say, just held me back in those opening couple days. Now, if you're here, you're not worried about pushing sort of PvP or being #1 first to clear to these various other things, then pick one of those supports. Ultimately, you've got to pick what you like. The rule of cool trumps everything. If you think it's cool, you like their aesthetic, you like the way their gear sounds, then pick them. I'm not going to pretend to be the #1 player here. A lot of people will probably disagree with me, and that is fine. I only have an opinion, you have an opinion, and this is the sort of the way I'm thinking. Now, what's my choice? Tiamat seems like the obvious one, but a lot of people are going to be going for Tiamat. Do I want to be part of the crowd? I don't know. I guess it sort of depends on what I summon as well. There are a lot of people potentially re-rolling, going on that permanent summon banner first to get a legendary hero whether that is Rahu or Tiamat, whatever, so then they can, change their direct summon to suit what they pull there. If they pull a Tiamat in the permanent banner early on, then the direct summon might be a Helkid or a support unit to really help push them. I don't know if I'm going to be doing that or not. I'm leaning towards Rosa or Rilmocha, one of those two new heroes. But I guess we'll have to find out together. I might stream, I might not. So if you see me about, do come check me out. And yeah, thank you so much for checking me out. The first Etheria restart video I put, it's done very well. It's done better than a lot of the other videos on the channel. So thank you for that. Take care. Look after yourselves. Work hard. But as always, play harder. And I'll see you in another one soon. Cheers.